Hi, Terry VanNoy. Welcome to Math Class with Terry V. Hope this video helps you out, and if you enjoy it, please share it, comment, or like it. And you can also go to my website, MathPowerLine.com. It's a math resource blog, lesson videos for students, and other resources for parents and teachers. Give me a call or go to my website or email. All right, let's go to today's lesson. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning me in on the first video of this series. We're going to talk about angle relationships. And the first part of this video here, this one, is about the basics. What you label certain pairs of angles and how they measure, how they compare with each other, sometimes relating to parallel lines. And then we'll get into some problem sets where you get to try a few problems on your own, and I'll go through it if you aren't able to get the answers. And we'll finish the last video in the series will be a self-quiz. All right, let's get this thing going. All right, I'm going to go over these labels for angle pairs right now. And these first two in the group, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and corresponding angles, all have to do with when you have a pair of parallel lines. Now, when you see in a diagram these red arrows, that's your indication that these two lines are parallel to each other. They never cross. Then that means that any third line that cuts through those parallel lines is called a transversal. Now, when that happens, you get pairs of angles that are called alternate interior or alternate exterior or corresponding. All right. Now, vertical angles don't necessarily have to be in this kind of diagram, although there are. There's also complementary angles, supplementary angles, and adjacent angles that I'm going to talk about in this video. All right, let me show an example of each type. All right, in examples 1 and 2 here, notice where the parallel lines are. We've got this line parallel to this line. Notice the arrow markings there. And we have this line parallel to this line. So what do we call angles A and B in their relationship to each other? Those are called alternate interior angles. Okay, now notice alternate means that it's on either side of this transversal. Okay, and same with over here. Both A and B are on different sides of that transversal line. And interior means that they are inside or in between those parallel lines. Okay, alternate interior. The name tells you where it is. Now the other thing is, notice the shape of angle B and angle A. Those are congruent. Those are the exact same measure. All right? Those are congruent. That's the symbol for congruence right there. So those angles measure the same. In these two examples, again, notice the symbols here show these parallel lines, and angles A and B are outside of those parallel lines and on opposite sides of that transversal. Same with number 4 here. A is above that line, B is below that line, and they are on different sides of that transversal. Those are called alternate exterior angle pairs. All right, alternate exterior. Also, they are, and if you look at the dimensions of this angle A here compared to angle B, fairly wide open angle, they actually measure to be the same. So again, those are a pair of congruent angles. So alternate interior and alternate exterior angle pairs are congruent. This next pair of angles is a little bit harder to see and to label, but let me describe it. Angles A and B are also congruent here, but notice their relative position with the parallel lines and the transversal. A is on the left side of that parallel line, B is on the left side of that parallel line, and both A and B are above the transversal. They're in the same relative position with each other. Okay, those are called corresponding angles. Okay, they correspond to each other, and they are congruent. And look at number 6 here. Angle A is below its parallel line, angle B is below its parallel line, and they are both on the right-hand side of the transversal. They're in the same relative position. So they are congruent angle pairs. They are corresponding with each other. Now the tricky part about corresponding angles is that there's 4 pairs of them. All right, so we've got A and B. We also have This angle here, it corresponds with this angle here. They are congruent. We have these two angles here, which are congruent to each other. And we have these two angles here, which correspond to each other. Okay, now it's a little bit messy, but I hope you can see that. There are 4 pairs of corresponding angle pairs that are congruent. There's a pair of alternate interior and another pair, 2 pair, of alternate interior, 2 pair of alternate exterior. Now, all right, let's move on from parallel lines and take a look at this. Number 7, we have a right angle here, and so that A and B together must make up a right angle. Okay, anytime that you've got 2 angles that add up to 90 degrees, that is called complementary. So their sum is 90 degrees. And in this diagram, A and B together make up a total of another 90 degrees on the other side of this one. So they are complementary angles. They are complements of each other. In examples 9 and 10, A and B together make a straight angle straight across. Okay? So you're going halfway around a circle. How many degrees is that? Yes, 180. So the sum of 2 supplementary angles is always 180 degrees. If 2 angles add up to 180, they are supplements of each other. Notice A and B in this example do make that straight line right there. All right, complementary add up to 90 degrees, supplementary add up to 180 degrees. 11 and 12 is another example of an angle pair that have a special relationship. Now notice angles B and A here are across from an intersection. They are formed by 2 straight lines intersecting, and they are directly across that intersection. All right, same with in 12, B and A. Now those angles are a little smaller, but they are both congruent, and that pair is called a vertical angle pair. Okay, those are vertical angles. All right, vertical angles are always congruent to each other, okay, formed by 2 intersecting lines. And in 13 and 14, a final example is any angles that share the same ray. Okay, B and A share the same ray here. Now together they don't make 90 degrees, they don't make 180. It doesn't really matter what their sum is, but as long as they share that same ray, that's called an adjacent angle pair. They are adjacent or next to each other. Okay, now you don't really know much about it unless there's a special case of adding up to 90 or 180. But adjacent angles basically are next to each other and they share a common ray. All right, hope you can remember all that. We're going to use that to good use in the next video. Good luck. All right, there you have it. I invite you to go to my website now, MathPowerLine.com, or email me or give me a call. The way I work best with students is live online in my classroom. So if I can help you in any way, answer some specific questions, the first lesson with me is free as I show you how everything works. All right, study hard and take care.